Hey, welcome back to the channel. Got a little something on the bench for you here. So this is a continuation video of the 3-inch build. So we're doing a little 3-inch build with a 20 by 20 stack, a little analog ripper. So if you're wanting to follow along with the build process, I have 2 live streams. The first one was kind of dry fitting everything, making sure everything is to where it needs to go, installing the motors, and then dry fitting the other components. And then the second live stream is installing the VTX and camera and hanging out and all that. So if you've been following along, this is a continuation of the receiver going into that build. So I'm going to film in this video the receiver portion. So we'll get the receiver updated. We'll get it put in, well, not updated, but like on the same firmware as my radio, get everything working. So that's what this video is about. So stay tuned. All right, so like I said, there's 2 live streams. Let me go ahead and jump over the bench. We got the 3-inch on the bench here, and we got the VTX, the flight controller, the ESCs, the motors, everything kind of going on. We have an RP2 receiver that we're going to put in, so I need to get this wired up to the flight controller. Let me show you the live streams that have already been filmed. So here are the 2 live streams. So if you go to my channel and you go to live, right here, Odyssey RC build. So this is the 3-inch Odyssey RC build. And then this is day 2. So you'll want to watch this one first and then this one. And then, of course, this video is kind of continuing on. But we're going to just put in the receiver, and that's what we're going to do in this video. So let me go ahead and jump back over here to the bench. The first thing to figure out is where do we want our wires going to on this flight controller. So the placement for the receiver, let me get the camera out of the way. So the receiver I'm going to put right down in here. I'll put my bus wires over here. Let me zoom in a little bit for you. So I'm going to just push the bus wires over a little bit, and I'm going to put that receiver right there. And then the camera should mount right over top of that, no problem. All nice and low profile and whatnot. So we're going to have our wires come out of there and then go up to the flight controller. On the flight controller, we need to find an open UART. So the open UART that I have so far is in this side here, across the front. This is all for the ESC. And right here we have T3 and R3. You can see that, these 2 pads right here. So T3, R3, we have ground and 5 volts. So these 4 pads are the ones that I'm going to use for the receiver, because I'm going to put the receiver right here on the front of the quad. We've already got the VTX in over here. So let me go ahead and figure out how much length we need for wiring. Yeah, these are pretty small wires. You don't necessarily need to pre-tin them, but it sure makes it a whole lot easier to not have to hit them too hard when you put them to the pads. The pads on this flight controller are quite some pretty nice size pads on this flight controller. Just going to prep the pads. I like to put a little rosin paste on the pads just to give them a little something for the solder to cure with. Now this solder itself has a flux core to it, but it's pretty small. It's a pretty small wire, or pretty small diameter. There's really not that much flux inside there. So I like to hit it with some rosin paste. That makes everything go down a lot quicker. Bonds to the pad better. You get the nice shiny welds, all that jazz. So let's think about this for a second. We got to get our ground and 5 volt in there. Put this out here so you can kind of see it. So T3, so our T pad is on the top. Let me turn this board so represents what we're doing. We got T, R, G, 5 volt. So we'll go ahead and do the ground. Go ahead and get our 5 volt in there. Yeah, really sizable pads on here. This is the T. We're going to do blue for the T pad. And then we'll do green for the RX pad. Now we have our 4 wires here. Turn that dude around. We'll go ahead and twist up our wires. I like these twisted really well because I want that ground to wrap around there pretty good. So I'll twist them up pretty tight. That ground's going to help shield and remove some of that RF noise we might get in there. I'm going to leave a little slack in case I need to change it eventually. Throw that away. Pull these 4 apart. Now these pads on the receiver aren't quite as large, so make sure we just snip off what we need. Grab our helping hands here. I'm going to put it in the orientation that I would in the quad. That's the way we're going to put it in the quad, so that way they don't the wires don't bind up when I turn it around. So the like I said, the RX is all the way on the same side as the antenna, and the ground is all the way on this side. So we'll start on the ground side here. See if I can film this upside down. Think I can do it. Film this upside down. Well, to you it's not upside down, right? The ground is always the funnest. We have RX on the outside, so here we have green as our RX, so we need that to go on our TX. But we'll get our 5 volt first. Is that enough lighting? Looks like maybe when I don't have my hands all in the way. So our T-pad, our T-pad is blue. That'll go on RX, and then our RX over here is green, so that needs to go to TX on the receiver. Grab our RX from the flight controller and put it on our TX of our receiver. Oop, damn it. Pad was still hot. All right, so make sure all that looks good. Done with this, and then of course they supply us with a little shrink tubing. Go ahead and put that on there. Kind of protects everything. Go ahead and twist these wires up even more. I know that seems like a long length, but I can't tell you how many times I replace a receiver, and I'm not 100% convinced that this receiver is going to be the receiver that makes me happy, because I may end up wanting to fly this further out than what it can handle. All right, got our shrink tube on there. And get a little bit more. Put flat on the carbon there. Let it cool off. Then we'll get our trusty stick 'em down double-sided Gorilla 15-pound poster adhesive. Love this stuff. It really doesn't get much better than that. I'm gonna put that on. I'm gonna hit this with some alcohol. So I got some 91%. Just some 91% alcohol. I just want to clean that in case any resin paste or flux got on this. Go ahead and get that all cleaned off. Make sure there's a good bond. See, there's some stuff on there. See that? Got dirty. A little carbon cleaning here. Clean our little spot. We're going to put our receiver. You don't want your receiver very close to your motor wires, so you don't want to like put your receiver on your motor wires, but I'm going to be coming a little bit further, so right about there. Not too worried about it. Go ahead, put our sticky pad on here. Got the ground wrapped around so we have it nice and twisted, so there shouldn't be a bunch of interference. Hopefully. Got our camera wires here. We'll go ahead and put that in there like that. Should be pretty clean build, yeah. All right, so we'll go ahead and check continuity real quick and make sure that there's no shorts in the system. Nothing like getting this dude put together and having a short in the system. Grab our, let's go ahead and just go from the XT30 all the way in. I still have to put a cap on the XT30. So we're all good there. Let me pull off a ground here, ground pad. We're just going to check our 5-volt and our signals, and then we got, of course, a clean ground. 000 to our ground, so we should be good there. So we go ahead and plug this bad boy into Betaflight. Let me grab a cable. Or actually, we're not going to go into Betaflight. We're going to drop a file in here. Let me search for that real quick. All right, so in the configurator, we're going to go. So I'm running on an older version. So go ahead and grab our Radiomaster. And then we're using the RP2. RP2 2. Wi-Fi. And everything else is in here. Go ahead and build that. So the file came up. I'm just going to put it on my desktop. All right. We have Wi-Fi initiated on there. So we need to get quick on that. Our BTX is getting hot. See if we can get this thing to connect to our ELRS. Gonna open up the browser. All right, we're connected up to our updater. I'm gonna jump in and open up the file here. All right, so I chose the file, the firmware bin zip file that was created by the configurator. So once it was done building it, it created it. So now I'll go ahead and update that. all successful. So our receiver on the bench is now just slow blinking. You can see here it went from rapid to slow blinking. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect power, check on my VTX, make sure that dude ain't getting too hot. So everything should be fine with that. So that receiver is now flashed, so I should be able to grab my radio and it should communicate. So let me grab my radio real quick. Let's just put it in with the super dupers. How about that? We'll go in here to system. We'll go to Express LRS. And then up here we'll have model mismatch. So we'll just go ahead and initiate that on and on. I do run model match. So now that that error message is gone, go ahead and return back out. Unplug the quad, plug it back in.
Telemetry lost. Telemetry
okay.
recovered.
So now we can go to beta flight. Let me get the kickstand underneath this. We can go into beta flight here and make sure we got sticks. Go ahead and connect. Go to receiver tab. And we need to change our channel map to the channel map that I use. Make sure all the sticks are moving around. Make sure all the switches are moving.
4 volts.
Okay, so receiver's done. I still have my modes to set up and other stuff to set up in here, but for the most part, everything is completely finished. We're going to go ahead and choose what UART. Close that. What did I say the UART was on the UART 3 is what we're using. Go here and go UART 3, freestyle, serial receiver, single cell. Pick it.
Telemetry lost.
Yep,
Telemetry
it did work.
recovered.
All right, cool. Rock and roll. Gonna jump back over here to the bench. And that's it. So the receiver is completely connected. Everything's done. I just need to button up the hardware. So all the hardware is
Telemetry lost.
pretty much done. I've got to just kind of button things up and work on getting my motor wires all nice and cleaned up. So I'll go ahead and get that buttoned up, clean that up, and then I'll probably, the next video would be ripping this thing. So we'll get a few rips in. Hey, again, this was a continuation. I appreciate you stopping by, and you know, if this video is entertaining at all whatsoever, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. If you hated it, you give it a thumbs down. It all works. Enjoy the breeze.